By burning, was ready for level 3, offering 2 paths. The first would imbue the bolts with fire elements for increased destructive power. The second option unlocked the Arrow Storm active skill, allowing the ballista to fire upward at high speeds for massive area damage. This skill would pour a dense rain of arrows onto a designated area for several seconds, though it required consuming 1 ghost stone. There was also a third path. The bolts would be imbued with lightning elements, effectively paralyzing enemies and striking those nearby. This chain damage could hit up to 3 creatures at once. The endless darkness returned once more. We see the entire world being shrouded in that familiar gloom. High up on the city walls, Chun Fan stood within the simple shelter the insects had built today, feeling the chill of the night wind and the light touch of rain. He gazed out at the gray mist beyond the camp, wondering if tonight would be as calm as the last. Then, they arrived. Almost the very instant night fell, Chun Fan saw one ghost after another begin to emerge from the thick fog. The endless darkness surged forth once again, shrouding the entire world in its gloom. High up on the city walls, Chun Fan stood within the simple shelter the insects had built, feeling the chill of the night wind and the light touch of rain. He looked toward the gray mist outside the camp, unsure if this night would remain peaceful. And then, he saw them. At the exact moment of nightfall, Chun Fan watched as various ghosts began to crawl out of the mist, including the monkey heads. There were bamboo pole ghosts, mantis ghosts, and a familiar old friend. The female ghost carried on a sedan by 4 spirits. However, something was different this time. Nearly 100 meatworm ghosts had been bound and tossed onto the ground. They struggled incessantly in front of the ghostly horde. It seemed everything was prepared for an assault. Chun Fan turned to look at the 10 level 2 arrow towers and the 2 level 3 towers stationed along the wall. He felt a slight sense of relief, believing they could hold. He still had over 300 ghost stones if things went south. He could upgrade the camp's defenses at any moment. Suddenly, accompanied by a piercing, frantic shriek, the female ghost launched her attack. We see the bamboo pole ghosts, standing over 3 meters tall, stepping out of the mist toward the camp, their speed steadily increasing. Just as they prepared to charge, they reached down, grabbed the meatworm ghosts, and hurled them with all their might toward the camp walls. The arrow towers atop the wall activated instantly, firing a volley of bolts into the dark sky. They accurately struck the meatworm ghosts mid-flight, causing them to erupt into blooms of eerie green bone fire. But a few managed to slip through, slamming heavily against the wall. The moment that green liquid splattered, the wall began to corrode, and in no time, the impact sites were riddled with deep, jagged pits. They were essentially using the meatworm ghosts as living grenades. Cursing under his breath, Chun Fan ducked behind the battlements. He poked his head out, watching the explosions lighting up the sky outside the walls, and couldn't help but curse under his breath. Finally, he understood what that female ghost had been up to last night. She had clearly been trailing the meatworm conversation. He casually asks what they're discussing. Station Master, Zhou Mo and the others scramble to their feet, but he simply tells them to go get some sleep.